Hi there, this is Daniela Birch, International Psychic Medium, and today I wanted to do a video on infidelity, affairs, and why we really cheat. So for many of us who have had an infidelity outside our relationship, it really has nothing to do with the partner or spouse at all, but a lot to do with the relationship we have with self. Now, for many of us here, we are going through core wounding of abandonment issues. And that's something that we actually choose to experience as a soul. And so in doing so, we choose parents and partners who are really going to trigger that particular abandonment wounding in us. So we are going to have a real fear of emotionally connecting into our own emotions, as well as connecting deeply, intimately, in a vulnerable way with the people that we choose. Because what happens with anyone with an abandonment wound, they are going to set up defense coping mechanisms that look a little bit like guarding around our heart chakra. And that allows us to be in total control of the relationship. And so we start to manipulate and we do what we can to make sure that that person isn't going to leave us. Okay, but what actually happens is with these people with this abandonment wound, they start to seek validation, approval, and love outside of self. And not just outside of you, but outside your actual relationship. Because you start to disconnect from your partner for whatever reason that is. It could just be as simple as you're not meeting their needs, and for a woman especially, we heal via our heart chakra, and so if we don't feel like our needs are being met by you, we automatically disconnect sexually and just spiritually. And so for a man especially, if you've got that abandonment wounding, the first thought is, I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, and you go into that escapism. And it may not just be this escapism of a relationship with somebody else or connecting with somebody. It can be a porn addiction. You may turn to video games or just constantly on your phone. Anything to avoid that feeling of emptiness, of not being lovable, is the most terrifying thing that you can actually confront. And it's so painful because I just see so many men who have that abandonment wound and they don't have time to really go inwards and listen to themselves. And so they create this false pretense and mask that you are really happy, and it's terrifying to actually do the inward journey. And what happens is we then create what we call the shadow. Now what the shadow does is it's really the subconscious part of us that is unhealed and has become fragmented as a child from those moments when the parent, for whatever reason, made you feel you weren't worthy of love or weren't lovable. And so that's a trigger that you're going to keep having come up with the partner. So you guys are under a lot of stress from work. You could be stuck in traffic. By the time you get home, your partner's like, okay, I want you to deal with the kids, or I want you to, do something for me. And you're just lost. You're confused. You've got no time to just sit and process your own stuff. And this is why this is coming up right now. This is why you start to turn to other people and seek that outside of the relationship for those reasons. It's a lot of the time the abandonment wound, okay? And the only way that this is going to heal is to actually feel that pain. And for a lot of people, you don't want to go there. and you will start to make the partner accountable for your pain. Okay, so this video is really just saying it's really time to just find a way to listen to yourself and to tell yourself that I don't really want to be in this situation anymore. I'm sick of being yelled at, or I'm sick of, feeling like crap, depressed, anxious, whatever's coming up for you. That's one of the driving forces behind the infidelity, all right? And this video is just really here to say to you, the shadow is going to keep ruling your life until you're ready to process the emotions of your past, okay? And I'm talking anyone who's in a relationship and they feel the need to flirt with other people or escape in the porn, which creates even more of a problem because you're still disconnecting from these parts of you that need to be healed. It's not going to get any better. There has to come a time when you finally just accept, you know what? I need to deal with my stuff. I can't actually be angry at my parents or my spouse because it's actually nothing to do with them. They are just merely the trigger. Okay, now I can do another video around soul contracts, and yes, for anyone who knows my work, I really talk a lot about contracts do come up in relationships, and if you're not growing and evolving together, then this is usually another sign too that relationship is coming to an end. When you start to look outside that marriage and you have that infidelity, though for many men, it's really just wanting that emotional connection. They're not doing it to be malicious or to create pain on their partner. It's really just this disconnected part of you that wants something that, is that escapism, and it doesn't really mean anything a lot of the time. But with women, when you have affairs, that's usually because you want an out of that relationship. Like, you're unhappy, that there's nothing else left to learn from that relationship. And so that's usually the pattern that we go down. All right, if there's any questions around this video, please just send me a message, because I am really driven to put this across, that men's shadows are the part of you that needs to be healed, because it's creating two personalities. Yeah, it's literally like two parts of you are vying for each other's attention, where you try to tell yourself that everything's okay at home, and the other part of you is like, no, well, actually it's not, because the subconscious is my driver and I feel the need to want approval, to know that I'm actually lovable. Okay, again, my name is Daniela. I work as an international psychic medium who specializes in men's health, soulmates, and contracts. I thank you all for listening.